everybody, this is Jennifer. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books, music, movies, and anything else that takes my fancy. Today I'm doing my May wrap-up and June TBR. I read 12 books this month, so I'm going to go ahead and get to it. I read many science audiobooks. Most of them were 3 stars. There was a few 4 stars. So they were all pretty good. So let's just go through them. The first one is Cannibalism, A Perfectly Natural History by Bill Shutt. And I gave that 4 stars. Then I read The First 3 Minutes by Steven Weinberg. It's just about inflation that happened right after the Big Bang. Anyway. So the next scientific book I listened to was The Quantum Moment, How Planck, Bohr, Einstein, and Heisenberg Taught Us to Love Uncertainty by Robert Crease and Alfred Goldhaber. And it's one scientist and it's one philosopher, and they deal with like how society influenced science and the quantum mechanics revolution, or whatever you want to call it, and how that quantum mechanics and those discoveries affected society. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and that got a 3. It's more like a 3.5. It's almost a 4. Excuse me. The next science audiobook I listened to is The Big Picture on the Origins of Life, Meaning, and the Universe Itself by Sean Carroll. That got 4 stars, and I'm planning to reread that at some point before the end of the year because I really liked it. And I didn't quite get as much out of it as I wanted to, but what I did get out of it, I really thought it was very interesting. So that got a 4. The next book I read was the next science book I read was The Theory of Everything by Stephen Hawking. That got a 3 stars. Then I read, for my audiobooks, The Universe, Leading Scientists Explore the Origin, Mysteries, and the Future of the Cosmos. That was compiled by edge.org, and it's scientists in their own words, different things having to do with the cosmos. There's, they're discussing different inflationary models and all kinds of good stuff. If you like that kind of thing. If you don't, then you're not really going to get anything out of it, but I happen to like science. So the last scientific audiobook I listened to was A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, which I gave it 3 stars. Oh, and The Universe I gave 4 stars because I really liked that one. Alright, so now we're going to go into the fiction. One of the first fiction things I read was Volume 2 of The Deadly Class, Kids of the Black Hole. That got 3 stars. It was okay. There's a love triangle in there, and there's some gross stuff that I didn't really care for. But it ended on a wicked cliffhanger, and I was like, I gotta find out what happens, but then I stopped myself. So next month I should be getting into Volume 3, but I don't have it yet. Alright, so the next thing I read was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. That got 3 stars. I really liked it because I like Neil Gaiman's writing in general, and I like pretty much everything of his that I've read. But this isn't, it's retellings of Norse mythology, so it wasn't anything too spectacular. But it was solid, and it got a 3 star for me. The next book I read after that was Let It Come Down by Paul Bowles. This is set in 1920s in the international zone at Tangier in Morocco. And this New York bank teller feels like he needs to shake things up in his life, so he takes this job in Tangier for an old family friend, and hijinks, drugs, all kind of bad things happen. Anyway, so This one got a 2 stars. I was kind of disappointed because the way they set up the premise, I thought I was really gonna like it, but I felt like it ended pretty abruptly, and it just, I don't know. I just didn't care for it the way I thought I would. So I'm gonna end on the last two books, the last two fiction books I read for this month, as far as my May wrap up is concerned, and they're both YA fiction, which is unusual for me. I usually only read 1 or 2 YA books in like an entire year, but I read 2 this month. And they both got 4 stars. I really did like them. They have a lot of stuff in common, such as I did not care for the first half, but I really liked the second half. So they both ended up with 4 stars because I felt like the first half were like 3 stars, and then the second half was 5, so I just averaged. So yeah, the first one is The Impossible Fortress by Jason Rekulak. And by the way, if you go on his website, you can actually play this game. Anyway, so yeah, The Impossible Fortress is a computer game that this kid, Billy Marvin, is trying to create for, one, he wants to have, he's not very good at school because he's concentrating on his computers, and he wants to have his own computer game company, and it comes to his attention that there is a contest to see who can do the best computer game. So he's trying to create this with this person named Mary Zelinsky. And at the same time, he and his 2 little D-bag friends, who I do not care for, they're trying to steal a copy of the Playboy with Vanna White so they can make copies and sell it to their friends. So yeah, the first half I thought was kind of predictable, and I thought I knew what was coming, but in the second half it's like, okay, I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming at all, and I was very surprised, and that made me happy, so it ended up with 4 stars. And then the book I read after that was More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. This ended up being a really good, a really touching book, and really thought-provoking. At first, it felt like this guy and his horrible friends again, but yeah, so this kid's name is Aaron Soto, and his dad has killed himself a little while back, and so he's trying to cope, and then he's got this girlfriend Genevieve, and then he meets this new friend named Thomas, and things start getting weird for him. So yeah, I found the second half and then the ending, oh my god, the ending's just about heartbreaking, but yeah, it really improves for the further you get into this, and it's a really good book. Alright, so those were the books, all 12 of them, that I finished in May. So now we're going to get on to my June TBR. I've already finished 2 books in June. One is The Universe in a Nutshell by Stephen Hawking. I'm still continuing my space books, my space audiobooks, and I've got a few more audiobooks for this month too. And I finished The Sea Wolf by Jack London. And I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to do a review on this, because I feel like I want to talk about it, but I've never done a review before on this channel, so we will see. Alright, so yeah, those are the 2 I've already finished in June. So I'm in the middle of the audiobook for The Picture of Dorian Gray. So I'm going to continue with this on the audiobook. I've never actually read the physical book of it, even though I've had it forever, but I really like the story, and this is my second reread of A Picture of Dorian Gray. So some more audiobooks I have is the new one by Neil deGrasse Tyson, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. Looking forward to that. I've actually just started it just a little. And I've got Sense and Sensibility as an audiobook. What I typically do with Jane Austen is once I get started, I really get into it. So I flip back and forth. Like I'll listen to an audiobook when I can't read, I read it, and then I read it when I get the chance to. So I've read every Jane Austen novel except this one and Mansfield Park. I was a part of a read-along, but that kind of like fizzled out. So I'm moving on without the group. So because I really love Jane Austen, and I want to be a completist. I want to be a completist for Jane Austen, so I'm going to move along with Sense and Sensibility. Excuse me. I have another nonfiction audiobook called The Silk Roads, A New History of the World by Peter Frankopan, and it has to do with Asia. So I'm really looking forward to that. There are a few more books on my trusty Kindle that I'm going to try to read. I recently watched a review of Sex and the Single Girl by Helen Gurley Brown by Amy from the Dusty Bookshelf. And I had always known I wanted to read it at some point because it's such an iconic 60s book for women. So, but I saw the review from the Dusty Bookshelf, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this now. So that's on my list to read. Also, Margaret the First by Danielle Dutton. That's a holdover from my last month's TBR. There's a few of those. I did pretty good with the books that I wanted to finish, but not as good as I needed to be to actually get through that TBR. So I'm extending that through June. But by the end of June, I really need to be done with those books. So Margaret the First by Danielle Dutton. The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan, I'm about 70% done with that, so hopefully by the end of this week that will be done. I picked up another one based on a YouTube review. Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. Olive at a Book Olive gave that 5 stars, and I'm like, the way she talked about it is like, okay, I have to read that. So I'm going to do that. I still also have Inside the Dream Palace by Cheryl Tippins, about the Chelsea Hotel in New York. There's Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler that I want to finish by the end of the month. And okay, so I've started also Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. I'm not necessarily looking to finish this by the end of June. It would be nice if I did, but I'm willing to like... these are essays, so it's not like they go through like one after the other being one big story. So I should be fine to not finish that. Yeah, I'm fine with not finishing it until the end of July. But if I can, that would be nice. And I just got off of the waiting list The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. I'm going to give that a shot. I tried to read Zone 1, also by Colson Whitehead, and I couldn't get into it. So I'm going to try The Underground Railroad and see what happens. I also have one more. Hold on just a second. Oops. Sorry for the dead air. All right, so the first chapter of this book, she mentions the Santa Annas. And whenever I hear the Santa Annas, it makes me think of White Oleander by Janet Fitch, which is, other than Jane Austen, this is probably my favorite book of all time. And I haven't reread it in almost a decade. But when I read the beginning of this, I thought I really need to reread White Oleander. So I'm going to try to reread White Oleander by Janet Fitch at some point this month. So yeah, that is my TBR for June. Wish me luck. If you guys want to discuss any of the books that were in my TBR, please leave a comment below, or, you know, mention some of the stuff you're reading this month. We can have a nice conversation in the comments. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Hope y'all have a great day. Thank you.